Most people think being a good person means being perfect, never messing up, never hurting anyone, always doing the right thing. But psychology has something different to say. Because being a good person isn't about never making mistakes. It's about how you respond to those mistakes. It's about empathy, self-awareness, and the way you treat others when nobody is watching. So if you've ever questioned yourself, if you've ever wondered whether you're good enough, this video might change how you see yourself forever. Sign 1. You replay your mistakes. You don't just move on like nothing happened. You think about what you said, what you did, and wish you handled it better. Maybe it's a conversation from 3 days ago. Maybe it's a decision you made years ago. Some people barely reflect on their actions. They justify everything they do and blame everyone else. But you don't. You look back and ask yourself if you could have done better. That doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're self-aware. The fact that your mistakes stay with you isn't proof that you're a bad person. It's proof that your actions matter to you. And people who genuinely care about their impact on others tend to reflect more than those who don't. Sign 2. You feel guilty easily. Even when it's not fully your fault, you still feel responsible. You ask yourself, did I hurt them? Was I too harsh? Could I have handled that differently? Sometimes you carry guilt for things that weren't entirely your responsibility. And while that can be exhausting, it often comes from a place of empathy. You care about how other people feel. You don't enjoy the idea of causing pain. Many people are quick to defend themselves, but you take time to consider how your actions affect others. That emotional awareness isn't weakness. It's a sign that you have a conscience that remains active even when no one is judging you. Sign 3. You help without keeping score. You show up for people, even when no one notices. You listen when someone needs to talk. You help when someone is struggling. You offer support even when there's nothing in it for you. And sometimes, you give more than you receive. The world often encourages people to ask, what's in it for me? But genuine kindness doesn't work that way. You don't help because you're expecting a reward. You help because you know what it's like to need help. And even though people may not always appreciate it, the fact that you continue to care says a lot about who you are. Sign 4. You try to understand others. Instead of jumping to conclusions, you pause. You think, maybe they're going through something. When someone acts rude, distant, or impatient, your first instinct isn't always to attack them back. You try to see the bigger picture. You recognize that everyone is carrying battles you can't see. That doesn't mean you excuse bad behavior. It simply means you understand that human beings are complicated. Empathy allows you to see beyond your own perspective, and that ability to understand others is one of the strongest signs of emotional intelligence. Sign 5. You apologize when you're wrong. Not everyone can say, I'm sorry, but you can, even when it's uncomfortable, even when your pride gets in the way. You choose accountability. A sincere apology requires humility. It requires admitting that you made a mistake, and many people spend their entire lives avoiding that feeling. But when you hurt someone, you don't just look for excuses. You acknowledge your part. You take responsibility. And that willingness to own your actions is a sign of real strength, not weakness. Sign 6. You don't feel good hurting people. Some people enjoy revenge. You don't. Even when someone hurts you, doing the same thing back doesn't feel right. You may get angry. You may feel betrayed. But deep down, causing someone pain doesn't bring you satisfaction. That's because your values matter more than your emotions in the heat of the moment. You don't want to become the kind of person who spreads hurt simply because they've been hurt. And that inner resistance to cruelty says more about your character than you realize. Sign 7. You overthink your actions. You wonder if you said too much or too little, if you came across the wrong way, if you accidentally made someone uncomfortable. It's exhausting sometimes. You replay conversations in your head and analyze tiny details that nobody else remembers. While overthinking can become unhealthy, It often comes from a place of caring. You want to treat people well. You want to be considerate. You want your words and actions to reflect your values. The reason you think about these things so much is because relationships matter to you. And people who care deeply often spend more time questioning themselves. Sign 8, you respect people's boundaries. You don't force yourself into people's lives. You understand space. You understand no. You understand that respect means allowing people to make their own choices. You don't pressure others into giving their time, energy, or attention. Instead, you recognize that healthy relationships require mutual respect. In a world where many people feel entitled to other people's time and emotions, respecting boundaries is a sign of maturity. It shows that you value people, not for what they can give you, but for who they are. Sign 9, you celebrate others genuinely. When people win, you're happy for them, even if you're still figuring things out yourself, even if your own goals haven't happened yet. You don't secretly hope they fail. You don't resent their success. Instead, you celebrate it, because you understand that someone else's victory doesn't take anything away from you. A genuinely good person can clap for others while still working toward their own dreams. That mindset is rare, and it creates stronger relationships, healthier friendships, and a more positive outlook on life. Sign 10, you're hard on yourself. This might be the biggest one. You judge yourself more than anyone else ever could. You notice your flaws. You remember your failures. You focus on what you should have done better. Sometimes you're so focused on becoming a better person that you forget to acknowledge how far you've already come. But here's the truth. Bad people don't spend hours wondering whether they're bad people. They don't constantly examine their behavior. They don't worry about improving. The fact that you're concerned about your character is often evidence that your character matters to you. So if you saw yourself in several of these signs, maybe it's time to stop questioning your worth so much. You're not perfect. Nobody is. But you're trying. You're learning. You're growing. And in a world where many people don't even try to become better, that effort matters more than you think. If this video helped you see yourself differently, subscribe for more psychology content.